What's up, guys? Hope you're having a great day. It's your boy Power Under Chris coming at you with another video. So today, I just want to do a breakdown of the admirals. I just wanted to really get in depth with the different admirals and their different philosophies and what makes the admirals the admirals. I'm not necessarily talking about their skill set so much as to more of their perspective of the world government and the way they operate, their philosophies on life, and how they should what their views are on justice. So today I will be talking about my boy Fujitora. I really love the way that Oda displays these different admirals with their different personality traits and how they greatly relate to their devil fruit. This video will be mainly focused on Fujitora, but I just wanted to talk about Akainu, Kizaru, and Ikiji, right? So Ikiji, right, his personality is really chill, laid back. It's funny, right? He's really chill, laid back, and his devil fruit is ice, right? And Kizaru, he's very slow in the head, right? He acts very slow, but his devil fruit is related to light, which is like the fastest thing, on the planet. And light, he traveled at the speed of light. So like, I find that like funny. And then, Akainu, he has a hot-tempered personality, and his devil fruit is magma. So I find that funny. And then Green Bull, we don't know much about him yet, but yeah, we'll see. And then Fujitora, right? And I honestly think that he is the best developed admiral out of the lot. So as you guys know, he wasn't introduced until after the time skipped. He was selected from, I think, the lottery of the Marines. So it's funny though that when you think of Fujitora, you think of the scars over his eyes, right? And it's funny because someone asked, like, or maybe he told himself, he's like, I would have never blinded myself, if I could see what Straw Hat Luffy looks like. So just the fact that he, thought like the world was so painful to like see that he took his own eyes out. I'm like, damn, that's like some next level stuff. But yeah, let's talk about him some more. So he has a samurai appearance, and some may say that he has like some connection to Wano. I don't think so, but he may, he does, remind me of a samurai with his one sword. As you may or may not know, the other admirals, Kizaru, Kiji, and Akainu, are based on Japanese actors. Fujitora in this case is Shintaro Kasi. Yeah, they both, have very, similar characteristics. They both use a cane sword that can be used for both walking and fighting. They both love gambling. As we were first introduced to Fujitora, he loves to gamble, and he basically bets his whole life on a dice, which I don't understand. Like, his decisions are all based on luck of the chance. I don't know if you guys remember, but during the Desert Road arc, at the end of the Desert Rose arc, he basically says, if I don't roll a 1 today, I won't pursue the Straw Hat Pirates. And it was 2 consecutive days where he just didn't roll. He rolled everything but a 1. So he decided, oh, I'm not going to chase him today. And then on the 3rd day, he rolled a 1. He's like, all right, boys, it's time to go get him. So he literally does everything, in terms of just like important life decisions by the dice, which I think is so funny. But he is an interesting admiral because he is torn. He is torn between moral and duty, right? Because you got to remember, back on the Death Rose arc, he could have easily just saved face, right? And just been like, yeah, it was the Marines who did this. It was the Marines who saved Dressrosa. We're the ones who defeated Doflamingo. But he didn't, right? He was like, you know what? I'm going to bet on Straw Hat because I know, the system is corrupt. And it sucks that we're going to have a pirate save us to expose how weak the system is. And basically, he apologized to Raikou, right, the former king of Dressrosa, and said, "We're sorry, the world government effed up." And Akainu was like, "What the f are you doing, man? You're supposed to, not, embarrass us like that." And then basically, Fujitora was telling him, "Well, if we can't admit to our mistakes, then we have no face to save, in the first place." Because kind of was basically saying you're not supposed to admit those mistakes like that, and then it just makes us look bad. And then Fujitora was saying, well, if we can't even admit to our mistakes, do we even have like a reputation to preserve at that point? But Yeah, he is a very, I would say the ideal of yin and yang. I always think of a man between, balance, good and evil, yin versus yang. That's the man I would think of. But he does share a great amount of compassion. You could tell he's an admiral that actually gives a crap about what is going on in the world. And it's funny because he doesn't see himself as like a force of authority. I suppose like Akainu, right? During the Marine War arc, he just killed a bunch of Marines who, there was the few Marines that were trying to run away from the war who were like afraid of what was going on. Like they're like, I'm scared, and he just, he's like, you can't, we're not willing to die on the battlefield. I might as well just kill you right now, and basically just executes them in cold blood. Which I was like, wow, that's really extreme. But out of the four admirals, it's kind of weird. He actually has, I think, the most screen time out of all the four admirals so far, which is funny because he was the last admiral. Well, actually, take that back. He was the second to last admiral to be introduced in the storyline. So I find that really interesting that he has had the most story time so far, when he was the second to last to be introduced. But so a lot of people speculate that he is connected to Wano and that he somehow like saw the horrible execution of Odin by Kaido. A lot of people think that he has some connection to Wano, and that because of that execution, that explains his painful past, and that's why he's like, he doesn't really want to talk about his past too often. Whatever his descent was, or wherever he came from, you can tell this is a man that has been through a lot of pain in his life. And the reason why I say this is because no man who has not been through pain, who has not suffered, would take their own eyes out willingly. Like, just this thing about that. Like, a man would have to really be going through some stuff to really be like, you know what, this world is so dark, it's so cold, I am tired of looking at this world, I'm gonna take my own eyes out. Like, do you realize, like, you would have to see some insane stuff, right, to be willing to take your own eyes out, right? At the expense of not being able to see the darkness of the world. And he does have one regret, as we've seen so far in the storyline. He does tell himself, wow, I wish I didn't take my own eyes out so I could see, what kind of a man you are, Straw Hat Luffy. Because if you guys remember, all the citizens of Dressrosa was like running after the Straw Hat, Grand Fleet, basically saying, hey, we hate you, we freaking hate you, like all this stuff, we hate the pirates, all this, all that. But if you guys remember, Fujitora was able to sense like emotion, and he saw that there was no hate, no sense of distrust, no sense of like anger in these people's emotions. So he can tell that these people were saying the things they said, and doing the things they were doing, so they can help the Straw Hats escape. But yeah, that's his one regret so far. But yeah, so I guarantee you, if he had a chance to go back, he'd probably not cut off his eyes just so he can see the kind of man Luffy is. But despite being a Marine Admiral, and despite, technically being set out to be an antagonist of the Straw Hat crew, I don't see any ill intent from him. Like, I don't see him as an antagonist as opposed to, like, someone like Akainu. Because, Akainu, you can tell from the very beginning, when he was first introduced, you're like, alright, this is a guy who is eventually going to be a real problem for the Straw Hats. If not, at Marineford, down the line, right? You could tell, like, you just get that feeling. And I didn't get that feeling with Fujitora. I could be wrong, but yeah, I just think the way that Oda set him up, he set him up to be like a kind, emotional man, and a guy who developed his own sense of justice and doesn't depend on the system to determine what he believes he should be doing. But if you think about Fujitora, right, every confrontation, everything he did in Dressrosa, he had to go through an emotional and moral dialogue within himself, and basically address that within himself as to whether or not he can pursue the thing he is doing. And it's just insane, right? How powerful this guy is. Like, oh my god, this guy can bring down meteorites. He's like, oh, you know what? I hate this island. Let me just bring down meteorite real quick. And so he's just able to bring down meteorites like out of nowhere. Not only that, he's able to control gravity at will, which I think is like really, really crazy. I just think it's crazy also how he was able to rise through the ranks so quickly as an admiral when he was drafted to the Marines, like basically before the 3 time skip happened. and he was able to rise to the ranks within 2 years. But I really like, Fujitora's character, man, because I think he's the perfect example of, like, a basic human, how we struggle with our moral and emotional selves daily, and how we struggle with, doing what's right for ourselves, what we believe is right, and then doing what's right for, like, the government or the corporation or whatever it is that we have to follow, that we work under. So it's definitely a major emotional and moral what's it called, conflict that happens within this character, and I think Oda does a really good job of showing that, right? He really, I think he really does a good job of displaying that within Fujitora. And it is very interesting to see Fujitora, like, he hates the warlord system. He thinks it's very flawed. He basically, he just wants to abolish the system, which it ends up actually happening later on in the series. I don't think they're at that point in the anime, so yeah, spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. Oh, I mean, not really alert anymore because I kind of dropped the spoiler, but yeah, they basically abolished the whole warlord system and make it that so that there's no more warlords. And you could tell his hate for the whole warlord system ever since Dressrosa, and he was talking about how, like, how that the system needs to go, and that's why he didn't step in to get involved with Doflamingo, because you just wanted to expose, like, the flaws of the warlord system. But I really like the way, just, again, how Oda has displayed this character. Like, many characters in the One Piece world, they don't have their own sense of what they believe and what they want to do in terms of where they stand, but he has a very good understanding of what is good and what is bad, and we can relate to him, I think, the most as an Admiral, because his struggles, we can feel that on our own, on a personal level as well, because we have our own struggles between, what is good and what is right, and what we should be doing versus, what we want to do versus what we should be doing. But yeah, I think, Dressrosa definitely showed the dark side of the world government. Well, yeah, the dark side of the world government, right? More further, because they knew what was going on in Dressrosa. They knew there was a lot of corruption going on, but just the fact that they didn't really do anything to address it is a bad situation, right? But Fujitora is working to change it, so I have 100% confidence in him that he'll be a pivotal key in the One Piece world to eventually change how the world government system is set up, and how we need to pursue, true blind justice, instead of just doing what we can to, what they want, to just basically save their face and not expose themselves as, frauds, basically speaking, because they didn't really do anything to help Dressrosa. They knew what was going on. I mean, like, come on, like, how could you not know what was going on? He's a warlord. Doflamingo was a warlord, so you gotta keep eyes on warlords, right? Because they're part of the warlord system, so they must have known, at least, like, they don't have to know the full scale of what was going on, but they probably knew what was going on a small scale, right? And they did nothing about it. They just let it go. Yeah, I just think that, Fujitora, out of all the admirals, he is the best admiral in my opinion. He was so distraught by the pain and suffering of the world that he blinded himself. I think his scars represent, his ideal of blind justice, and how, like, justice shouldn't be seen, it should be felt. That's how I see it. But anyways, guys, this is the end of my video. If you guys enjoyed, please consider leaving me a like and some of your thoughts in the comments below. Also, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, well, you should leave a like. You should subscribe, and yeah, just stick around for the future. But anyways, guys, welcome aboard. Glad to see you here, and I hope you guys have a great day.